As seen in yesterday's Luke Skywalker focused issue in the Age of Rebellion comic series, at some point between the events of Episode 5 and Episode 6, the Rebellion stole an Imperial support vessel. The plan was to infiltrate an Imperial refining platform in the Outer Rim and steal enough fuel to supply the Rebel fleet for a year. There was only one problem. The facility was full of Imperial security droids, making the mission tougher than the strike team was expecting. Lucky for them, Luke Skywalker, hero of the Rebellion, emerged to join the mission, immediately boosting the team's morale. As Luke easily cut through the droids, the rebels fought their way through the facility, taking the refinery and obtaining access to the fuel stores. However, despite their success, a rebel major was visibly worried, and when questioned about it, the Powin admitted his reservations about Luke, bothered that the only other person he'd ever seen use a lightsaber was Darth Vader. At that point, the issue changes to a great scene between Vader and Sidious. Sidious was gravely disappointed with his apprentice. Although he had months to locate Luke and turn him to the dark side, Vader remained unsuccessful. Vader argued that he was close, with it only being a matter of time before Luke was found. But Sidious wasn't convinced, noting Luke must be stronger than Vader anticipated. As Vader again stated he would find Luke, the Emperor accepted it. But before he ended the holographic transmission with his apprentice, Sidious informed Vader he would ponder upon young Skywalker himself. Again going back to the Rebel mission to steal the Empire's fuel, we see Luke startled by something as the strike team was departing the platform, igniting his lightsaber out of instinct. While Luke was reminded to keep moving by the Rebel Major, he couldn't quite put his finger on what he experienced. Eventually, Luke and the rest of the strike team were on the platform, ready to escape from the facility. But Luke still sensed something approaching, and while the Major wanted to navigate out of the debris field before their jump to hyperspace, Luke was adamant that they leave immediately, earning him a reprimand from the Major. However, it was during this exchange that Sidious, clearly deep in the Force, had something to seize upon, sensing Luke's doubt that ignited within him. Although Sidious didn't know exactly where Luke was and couldn't communicate directly to the rebel, Sidious sensed Luke's feelings, and in turn, Luke could sense the truth Sidious spoke. As Sidious preyed upon Luke's doubt, Luke became more and more agitated, with Sidious framing those around him as fools, lesser beings who were nothing to those strong in the Force. Even worse, Luke's warning turned out to be right, with the Empire emerging from hyperspace upon the fleeing strike team. With Sidious proven right, the Sith Lord continued to prey upon Luke's conflict and emotions, convincing Luke he was ignored, and thus many were made to suffer. Even more, it was Luke's fault, for he allowed weakness to define his actions even though he knew his true strength. Sidious noted he couldn't put a vision within Luke's mind, but he knew Luke was already forming one, prompting him to continue and give himself permission to leave the war behind. At that point, with the Imperial support vessel destroyed, Luke would escape a number of TIE fighters, crash landing upon a planet engulfed by storms. Leaving his helmet and lightsaber behind, Luke found and assisted a community desperately trying to harvest enough food to last them the entire storm season. When Luke learned they were shorthanded due to the war, he offered his help, with the vision showing Luke helping the community to thrive, while he started a family of his own, finding happiness away from the life of a Jedi and rebel hero. But eventually, Luke would be ripped from the vision by a rebellion distress call from those still inside the platform's launch bay under fire from TIE fighters. Of course, Luke turned to help them, taking out a number of TIEs before landing on the platform himself. But Sidious wasn't yet done with Luke, understanding he'd been awakened from his vision and noting Luke was nearly there. However, Sidious knew Luke was in an even better position, finding that as Luke was helping the last rebels escape, he couldn't let go of his guilt, which could be twisted and preyed upon as he was pushed further to the dark side. Luke would find the rebel major still trying to get the rest of the strike team to safety, using himself as a decoy to aid the crew's escape. As the major punched Luke and told him to leave, still not completely trusting the lightsaber-wielding rebel, Sidious would again try to manipulate Luke, telling him it was his time. But Luke wouldn't give in, instead helping the Major succeed in his role as decoy, and getting the remaining TIE fighters to focus on them so the rest of the rebel team could escape. Sidious knew he failed, but he was also confident Luke could not escape himself or his destiny. Luke and the rest of the rebel strike team would successfully escape, and while the Major wanted Luke to soak in the accolades for his heroics during the mission, Luke refused, instead noting it was the Major's time for that. So there we have it, how Sidious attempted to turn Luke to the dark side before episode 6. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me... for being full of tricks.